What's good? Some of this. Welcome to Shiitake News. I'm glad to have you back. Ladies, gentlemen, kittens, and everyone in between. Welcome to today's show. Today we're talking about the one and the only, the undisputed champion of Nevada, Bernie. He won Nevada heavy-handedly. He won more than about half the overall votes. And everyone else, I think the second place had like half of his votes. They were like at 19%-ish. And I think that was Biden. So, congratulations, Bernie. Outstanding victory. And here I have a nice encouraging poster here. I put some of these in bold so they're like my bullet points to help me go over some of the topics. But during the last debate, it was rough on all sides, but he kind of made a point that he can win against the other ones on stage. And I do believe he can win. I honestly feel like Bernie is going to come out ahead. He's going to get more votes than anyone else. The thing that's going to make the difference are the super delegates. Will they take it from Bernie? Will they let him have it? And it's difficult to say. He's a socialist, and that's fine if that's what they want. If the Democratic Party wants to nominate a socialist, that's absolutely okay. There's no rules that's stopping that. If he decides to implement whatever open borders and whatnot, that's absolutely okay. If that's what the Democrats want. I just worry that they're going to take it from him. And his supporters are going to overreact. Lately, his supporters have been pretty aggressive and violent. So, if he's cheated, what's going to happen then? And if he wins, what's going to happen then? Because a lot of current Democrats will not vote for a socialist. No matter how he waters it down, he's always going to be seen as a commie. So they're going to go right back to Trump. Even never-Trumpers are starting to look at Trump like, you know what? You're not that bad compared to Bernie. I have no say in the matter. I don't care either for or against, but I don't like to see someone cheated. I see Bloomberg trying to buy his way into the election, and I think that's disgusting. But now the Dems have the BERN, at least so far in Nevada. There's still a long road ahead. And nobody came close. Nobody could even touch him. But congratulate him on his win. He gave a good speech. He's declaring war on the establishment, is what I was trying to get here. So the establishment tends to, like Hillary, she was a definite establishment, Democrat. They wanted her. They decided long before anything happened that she was their person. And they stole it from Bernie. And Bernie was cheated. He probably was the stronger candidate in 2016. Since then, a lot of terms have changed. He's okay with open borders now. He's promising some Obama promises, free healthcare for all, free college for all. And I don't think those are the real issues. It's like, I think they're just overcharging both of those things. And I don't think they need to be free or they need to be paid by somebody else. I think they just need to be cheaper. Not cheaper for the people paying, but I mean cheaper prices. I think they're overcharging way too much, and I think that's a big issue. It's like nobody's complaining free water for all because water's not that expensive. If healthcare and college were both cheaper, I don't think it would be such a big issue, but it's not. And they charge royalties on those college loans, which seems shady to me. Why would you give a young person that much money and then charge interest when they don't even understand what interest really means? But yeah, he declared war on the establishment, and we'll see what they do. The super delegates can always determine who's going to be the Democratic nominee. That's a system they implemented. If they cheat it, it's not a federal election. They can move it and maneuver it and bend the rules and change the rules so Bloomberg can join in whatever fashion they deemed okay. They tried doing something like that for Trump, but Trump had all the delegates he needed long before he got to the convention, which is when they make the final decision. So he could have been cheated out of it, but he won the race before before the final date. So that he had it. He overpowered the system, and then everybody fell in line behind good old Trump. Now I don't know if they're gonna do the same for Bernie. I'm not even sure if they're gonna let him have the opportunity to do that. But war on Democrats, as long as it's fair, I support him as much as I can. Some people are excited that he's by far the most left-wing president candidate ever, and that's saying a lot. Even Obama, who had a lot of he came off as a strong left side. He acted like a Republican for a few years. The only thing that made him a lefty was how much he spent. He spent a ton of money. But overall, war and all those things, they seem pretty Republican-ish. I'm not saying I support the Republican or I think that's a good thing. I'm just saying Bernie is definitely a lefty. But some people support that and they were waiting for that. Others are terrified and they're probably going to run right back to Trump. Bernie Seattle's campaign headquarters was vandalized. I think they threw a stone through his window. He's called for against all violence. He's asked not just his campaign but all campaigns, no matter who wins, to not be violent, because he's had some in 2016 he condemned all the violence that the possibly Bernie supporters were doing. So he's coming out again. He says no matter who wins, he's gonna support them, and he's gonna same thing he did for Hillary. He's gonna endorse him or her. So he's calling for the violence to be toned down. But while he's calling people to tone down, because I think Bernie knows he has it in the bag, Pete's calling. He's talking about being toxic about when he's referring to Bernie, and because Bernie kind of politicianed his way out of some questions like, why do you have these 3 houses? And he says, well, I need one for here, I need one for there, I need one for there, and it's like, well, that didn't answer the question as to why you can afford to buy these 3 houses and why that's okay. So that's what he's talking about when he says the toxic tone of our politics. He's talking about the suave talk a politician has to get out of stuff. A lot of politicians do this. I mean, actually, all of them do. They all have an answer that doesn't quite fulfill the question, but they can get out. They can move on. It's like, how do you feel about this? And back in the day, there were a lot of Republicans had like some questions that they would always fall for. Bernie can do it as well. He's been a politician for like 40 years. He knows how to not weasel, but he knows how to maneuver his way out of some questions, and that's what Pete's complaining about. But Pete is also complaining that the Nevada caucus was plagued with errors. He paid for they're using an app that tallies up all the votes, or that report where the each side can report their numbers in. And this app builder is called Shadow Inc. or something along those lines. And actually Pete donated or paid them about $100,000 about 2 years ago. It was unclear why he paid them to do something, but now this company that he paid before is running the tallies, is tallying up all the votes. So some people feel like there's some shady dealings going behind the curtains, but who knows? It seems like Bernie genuinely won this one straightforward. So I can Pete's gonna complain no matter what happens, unless he's the winner. James Carville is losing his mind. He's talking about how anyone who thinks Bernie can beat Trump is as stupid as global warming deniers. So I don't know if he has a point. He's actually lost his mind recently. He's really, really upset with the selection of candidates here, and he really doesn't like Bernie. He calls him a commie. They insult each other back and forth. So Bernie winning ahead, I think, really triggered him. Who knows if he's speaking the truth? I do, recommend that the Trump supporters don't get as relaxed as Hillary did with her easy wins. She thought she had it in the bag. Trump has done a lot of great things, but don't underestimate your opponents. Don't let hubris be your downfall. Prepare. Don't celebrate until we get the inauguration going again. So that's my advice for any Trump supporter listening. So don't get callous. Don't get relaxed. Even I probably gonna fly back home to the U.S. and vote. I don't know if I can get an absentee ballot already. It's tricky out here, and it might not come through. But I'm from California. It doesn't matter who I vote for. California is gonna go left no matter what. So that's one thing that's constant, at least. Some Democrats who are on the ballot, such as the House is always up every 2 years, and the Senate, a lot of senators are going to be up, but they're making a distance between themselves and the Bernie Sanders, because some of those senators won areas that are red, that were kind of they were moderate Democrats. They were like, I believe in these things. I believe in social programs, but I also believe in closing the borders and these and that. So those are like Democrats that are kind of purplish. And if they endorse or support someone who's deep blue like Bernie, odds are they're not going to win their district again. They're not gonna go right, and they're gonna lose their Senate seat. So they're making a distance. Normally, they want to endorse the president and unite the party, but not when the candidate's too far left for their district. So I can see some Democrats making the distance between the possible candidate and themselves. So you can see you'll see that they're not gonna use Bernie selling points to try to get themselves elected again. The strange thing is that MSNBC, I watched the interview, and they had a meltdown. They lost their minds. I was surprised. They were talking about white supremacy and this and that. I was like, good God, Bernie's not. Why are they tagging him as a racist now? Just because he won, it doesn't make him a racist. There's actually Bernie's really, really far left. So I don't know why they're so dead set, and I'm not even sure who they would be happy with. Usually the media has like one candidate that they're like secretly endorsing, and it's definitely not Bernie, because MSNBC absolutely lost their mind. They were coming out with all kinds of theories. Russia loves them, Russia interference, and a lot of the things they're saying about Bernie is the same things they said about Trump, and it's the same people too. The exact same individuals said these word for words about Trump. He's a racist, Russia supporting, he's a bigot. Now they're saying the same thing about Bernie just because he won Nevada. What is he going to do when he wins the nominee? Because he's on track to win the nominee. He won by a landslide. It wasn't even close. And even Trump congratulated him and he wished him luck. They're going to try to steal it from you, Bernie, so see what you can do. But I think Trump wants to run against him. I think he was scared of him in 2016. He was scared that Hillary would choose Bernie as his VP, as her VP, because he's the economic guy. He's the one that's promising all of these things, and Trump and him were running kind of on some of the same platforms, that they're gonna try to fix jobs, they're gonna try to do this, do that, and I think Trump was genuinely scared that Hillary was gonna choose him as his VP. I don't think he's worried about him this time around. As a VP, he's more dangerous than as a president, the president candidate. But it was strange to see MSNBC kind of freak out that much. They haven't freaked out that much since they acquitted Trump, which I guess wasn't that long ago. And even Chris Matthew compared to Bernie winning to the Nazis' invasion of France, and I was like, they must have an agenda that I just don't know about. And I usually watch all of them, everybody. I keep the news on continuously, going like, well, I've seen everything this channel has to provide. Let's switch to the next channel and listen to every word they have to say. And they have an agenda against Bernie. They really don't like the man. So I don't know who the ideal candidate is. I guess Pete Pete's kind of young, but he's a nobody. I looked into his career as a service member in the Navy. That cat never went through military training. He went from the university, and he went through the program that puts you into service immediately. The man doesn't know how to shoot to save his life, if I had a better dollar. So his tours and this and that, he's like a computer geek, or not a computer geek, but he's like a nerd. Like every once in a while you bring into a doctor who's highly qualified, who's an extremely good doctor. Like, he has a long history and a great, he's done he's practiced for years. He's practiced medicine for years, but he's too old to actually do the military stuff. So they just bring him in like, okay, you're an officer now. You don't have to go through training because you're way too old for that. But you're a really, really, really educated and a really professional individual. So we want you to join the Navy, but you're not going to have to go through the military stuff. There's a program like that, and that's what Pete went through. And he was a reservist. I have my opinion on that, but, I'm not going to trash the man too much, but he's a nobody. And do you think they want Warren? I don't think Warren's going to get the vote because she's lied a lot and she has a ton of dirt. So she's probably not going to be an ideal candidate. Amy just doesn't even look electable. I don't know why Amy's still running. I don't think she has any chance at all to winning. But I don't think that's who. Biden, I guess, was their best bet, but Biden's kind of old now too. He's about as old as Bernie. So I don't know who they were rooting for, but it definitely wasn't Bernie. And even some anti-Trump Republicans would probably vote for a moderate like Hillary or Biden, even Mike Bloomberg, but they're definitely not going to vote for good old Bernie. That'd be political suicide to them. If they're Republicans voting for a Democratic socialist, that's you can't call yourself a Republican anymore. They would probably can get away with voting for Mike or Biden, but Bernie has an uphill battle. If he's what the Democrats want, I support him completely. I wish him the best of luck. I hope he makes it through. I hope he earns the nomination if that's what the Democrats want. But I don't know if they're gonna let him have it. But either way, I don't think they can stop him at this point. Bloomberg called it out that if the other candidates don't drop out and they can consolidate on one person, they'll have no chance of stopping Bernie. And I think he's past that point. As far as the popular vote, I think he's going to win by a landslide. And if he wins with the popular vote, but they don't give him the nomination because all the superdelegates go to someone else, it's going to be chaotic. We'll see what happens. For now, congratulations, Bernie. Keep it up. Like to see if you can make some changes, but I don't know about this open border policy. Especially a lot of cities are closing their borders. Like right now, all the countries around Iran are closing their borders to Iran. People are closing the borders to China. People are closing the border because they're scared for the COVID-19. So I don't know how I feel about open borders. Probably should keep them closed. Probably should keep them regulated. But that's for another subject. That's for another day. For now, congratulations. Keep it up. And we'll see him at the next primary. All right. Have a good night. Thank you very much for listening. Let's get some of this. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them. If you like if you like these little shows, please feel free to subscribe and enjoy. Have a good night. Let's get some of this stuff.